Okay, part two of this story. Um, anyway, this landlord, my former friend, claims he's a narcissist. Maybe he is. A lot of people in his position are. He's a very prominent member of the community. Like I say, I'm not going to say too much about him because I don't want to identify him. I don't want to identify my former friend. I'm not trying to identify anybody here. Although some people who hear me speak will know about the situation, I'm sure. My former friend may even watch this. I don't know if she watches my stuff or not. I watch her stuff, but maybe she watches mine, maybe she doesn't. It doesn't matter if she watches it or not. If she sees this, I'm telling the truth, so I'm not going to feel bad about it. And I also have gone out of my way not to identify her. I'm not saying her name. I'm not giving too many details about her where she could be identified by random people watching this. But anyway, here's the thing. Even if the guy is a narcissist, which, like I say, my former friend throws the word narcissist around, anybody she's had a disagreement with or fallen out with is a narcissist, according to her. Okay, but here's the thing. Even if he is, perhaps he is, I don't know. But even if he is, she created that situation on his property. Now we have people in the town referring to him as a slumlord. Now, people in his position tend to be very concerned about their public image. And she put him now in a position where people are calling him a slumlord. There's a woman in the town who has a community page on Facebook. Extremely one of these real woke, politically correct people. And she'll even go so far as to try to have you fired from your job if you take an opposing point of view to her on any topic. Like she's really, or she's just rabidly woke to the point where she figures that if you're not of the same mind as her, you no longer deserve to live, basically, and she'll do everything she can to screw you up. Well, she's targeted my former friend, and she's also targeted her landlord. And she started this campaign around to say the landlord is a slumlord because he wasn't on top of things. He allowed the situation to get to where it got to, and so on. Now, he pretty much has to now do what he's doing in order to convey the message that he is on top of things and that he does care about what happens in the properties that he owns and rents out. If she's put him in that position, my former friend has, where he has to do what he's doing. There's a failure on her part to be able to see it from the other one's point of view. She just writes a person off, says, "Oh, you're a narcissist. You're abusing me. You're hurting me. You want to do me harm." And in many cases, that's just not it. But people will not tolerate being disrespected. People will not tolerate being conned, and so on. My last conversation with her, how it ended was, she told me, she said, "You treat me like I'm just a con artist." And I told her, like that, and I told her, I said, "Look, your word is no good. If your word is no good, then you are no good." And at that point, she said, "I'm done reading your messages. They're abusive. And you're a narcissist. So take care." And I just responded by saying, "Don't contact me anymore. Like, just leave me be. Leave me in peace." And that's where we left it. So I got 100 of the 400 back, which from what I understand is good, because most people never see any of their money back. So she must have cared. I guess. I don't know. Silly stuff anyway. But here's the thing. Like, I'm homeless. And she took money from me and never paid it back, yet she claims that she's concerned about homeless people. I mean, she did everything she could to jerk me around. The reason that I didn't, even while I was willing just to let the money go at first and not to have her repay me. She actually had to talk me into letting her repay me, and then she never did. But the reason that I was willing, because I knew that that's what she would do. It didn't come as any surprise to me at all that she did what she did. The scrapyard where she worked, they had to let her go because of misconduct. I won't get into that. That's between her and them. I'll just say it was her doing that they let her go. It wasn't their fault. It was hers. I know the story, but that's their story, so I'm not going to get into that. I'll just say that it was due to misconduct on her part and leave it at that. Anyway, there was a bunch of stuff happening. There's a bunch of stuff, anyway, that has happened with her. Again, she says that the people at the scrapyard abused her and all the rest of it, and that they're all narcissistic. You know, there's a whole family that runs the scrapyard there. It's a family business. All narcissists, according to her. Terrible people. Then you get, she made videos in the spring there, where she just told dirty stories about people who she used to be friends with but has fallen out with. Terrible, dirty stories. Again, I'm not going to repeat any of them. You just have to take my word that they were really bad, you know. And these were people that had been friends with her for decades, and she fell out with them for one reason or another. Now she says that God had shown her that all those people were bad, and that, you know, God blessed her by removing them from her life. So, you know, this is how it goes. But, and she, of course, she plays up the thing about being a woman and about having mental illness and all that. And basically the idea is if you ever offend me or upset me in any way for any reason, then you are abusing a woman and you're abusing the mentally ill. And therefore you're a bad person. But the thing is, sometimes you do have to tell the truth. And the truth isn't always pleasant. And like I say, as far as I'm concerned, this situation between her and her landlord, well, it's unfortunate. It's more her doing than the landlord's. And like I say, I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't know the landlord. I don't like or dislike the landlord. I know of the landlord because everybody knows of this person. You know, this area, that individual is well known. And so, you know, he's one of a prominent member of the community. He's well known. So I know him just like people in any small town know certain people, or in any area know certain people, but I don't know him personally. I've never spoken to the man. I've never met the man. I could bump into him on the street and I'd have no idea that it was him I was bumping into. I don't even know what he looks like. But here's the thing. Knowing what I know of the story, it's a situation that she created. She put the man he put his back up against the wall. He has no choice now. Now, unfortunately, this other busybody stuck her nose into it and got people all riled up. And this is what this other one does. You know, and I've seen her in action for quite a while, and this is what she does. We had a guy in town that had a YouTube channel. He was an auditor. He would audit police departments and stuff like that. And he had also filmed the traffic, you know, and stuff. And he would show some of the bad driving that goes on around here. And there's a lot of it, believe me. It's a wonder there aren't more car accidents. But that fellow, he had a run-in with a woman who didn't like him filming the traffic by Walmart. She pulled her van over, and she came back and stood in front of his camera and told him that she was objecting to him filming her. And again, this whole thing about being a woman, which drives me crazy when women do this, you know. Like, stop it. If you're a woman and you do this, stop it. If you put yourself in front of a camera, or you go out of your way to get into a situation, and then you accuse the guy of being a sexual pervert because he's filming you or whatever, when you've actually purposely approached and got in front of his camera. You know? Well, no, that doesn't fly. Anyway, that's what the woman did. She was a reporter for the newspaper, and she got up in his face. I object to you filming me, and you're a pervert, and all this. And he's saying, well, you're getting in front of my camera. If you don't want to be on camera, then don't stand in front of my camera. But no, you're a pervert. So they made a big thing anyway to say that this guy was a sexual pervert. And this other one that has the community page, she got on the bandwagon, and she got a whole campaign going here to label that fellow a pervert. Well, there was nothing perverse about what he was doing. He wasn't filming women in washrooms and change rooms and things. We have a former cop in town that ran a gym, and he got caught doing that. He had cameras hidden in the women's private areas, in the women's showers and change rooms and whatnot. And nothing much happened to him. He closed that gym down and opened another gym right after it. That's all. But yet we got this campaign then to say that this other fellow is a sex pervert because he filmed this woman who walked up in front of his camera. And this was in the winter time. She was dressed from head to toe in like a wool coat and everything else. I mean, there was nothing even remotely sexy about it. But here she's saying, well, you're a pervert because you filmed me. And anyway, this other one got on the bandwagon, the one that has the community page, and painted the guy a pervert and all the rest of it, all unjustly. And again, these are the types of people that we end up dealing with constantly. But here's the thing. Anyway, so she went after my former friend, and, I would say should have minded her own business, but again, she can't resist getting on a bandwagon. She went after my former friend's landlord, got a whole campaign going to say that he's a slumlord because he wasn't on top of things, what was going on in this rental property. And so now the landlord's been backed into a corner, He's doing what he has to do now because of this, because to his way of thinking, I'm sure, and I don't speak for him. I don't know the guy, I don't speak for him. Never spoken to him, don't speak for him. But it seems obvious to me that he has to now, be on top of it. He has to reassure the neighbors on that street that he's dealing with the situation. And so this is why what's happening is happening. Anyway, my former friend is on a big kick now about the homeless and everything. Anyway, like I said, I don't want to see her homeless. It's a hard life, and I don't want that for her. I guess I do still care in a way, although I honestly don't know why I care, but I guess I still do. You can't just turn it off after all. But here's the thing. There are very few people she's had run-ins with who are actually narcissists. In most cases, what it is she's backed them into a corner, and she's pushed them and she's tested them until she's gotten a bad reaction. And just like a toddler, she gets the bad reaction and then she cries. And, everybody's supposed to feel like, oh, poor her, she's got this bad reaction. People aren't being nice to her. Well, I admit it, evicting somebody is not nice. That's not a nice thing to do. But allowing the property that you rent from them to become a problem in the community is also not a nice thing to do. So, this is what happens. I mean, that's life. It's hard. It sucks. But that's the way of the world. Anyway, I'm not saying it's right. Because a lot of it isn't right. Nothing about that situation is right. Nothing that she did was right. And it's really not right that she should be on the street either. But she did create that situation. So in the end, we all live with what we create. If I go over there and take a big dump and leave it there, I'm going to have to look at the big dump every day. I'm going to have to deal with the flies it will attract. I'm going to have to deal with the smell of it. So if I choose to do that, that's what I'm going to have to deal with, and I know that. So I choose basically not to shit where I live, at least not in such a way that I'm going to create that situation, because I don't want that situation. And that's pretty much how we have to live in this life, because otherwise we create situations we don't want. Now, if you're prepared to deal with the consequences of what you do, fill your boots, do what you do, Look, I'm resisting a lot of the things that are being imposed by our government and by businesses and stuff. And I'm already paying some price for that, and I'm going to pay an even heavier price. Because this, it's not over. This is just the beginning. And I know that. And I've already accepted that I'm going to pay the price. Because I'm choosing to do things that will result in me having to pay a price. Do I think it's fair that I'm put in this position? No, I don't. But that's the position I'm in. And so I have to accept that that's how it is. And, like I say, don't rent a room in your house to somebody who's actively dealing drugs. And practically all of that stuff that happened in this woman's house won't happen in your house. And don't make videos ridiculing the police when you have that situation ongoing in your house, because they will use that to get to you. If you're going to publicly out the police for whatever, well, like I say, if there's anything at all they can use against you, they will. You better be 100% sure that there's nothing they can